Okay guys, so we're back in the dojo today. We've had no Q&As this week, so I thought I'd come in here and just, we'd chat a little bit inside the dojo. So one thing I wanted to talk about, I was just in here today thinking, and something popped into mind about the Bubishi. Especially this phase here where the human mind is one with heaven and earth, or the human is one with heaven and earth. So with this one, there's an important clue when it comes to certain aspects of the esoteric elements of the art, certain things around Qigong or Kiko, Sanchin, the Junbyundo, the Taisa de Ruma, how it all links together. So within this phase, you have the human, you have heaven, you have earth. So these two things are known as the three powers. Tenchi Jin, heaven, earth, man. So within your Junbyundo, there are various exercises contained within the breathing one. So whether you're Jundokan, whether you're Meibukan, whether you're whatever it is, they all contain these breathing exercises where we're coming this way. This one relates to heaven, where we come out front and then up. Sometimes it's referred to as swimming dragons. This one relates to man. One where we have our hands on the stance and we're dropping into Shikadachi. Well, this one relates to the earth. And the idea is that you're drawing power from each of the three. Within Taoism, there's a lot of use of mantra, a lot of superstition, a lot of things which are believed to be good luck. We're looking at feng shui, directional patterns, whether we're looking at breathing techniques, whether we're looking at the use of certain colors in certain areas, whether we're looking at the use of certain objects in certain areas, all to influence luck or the quality of energy that comes in. If we talk about Tenchi Jin, I can remember one of my mentors in London Chinatown, Mr. Yap Long, who was a master of Five Ancestors Fist. He used to recite Tenchi Jin, Tenchi Jin, Tenchi Jin, Tenchi Jin as a lucky mantra. So whenever he needed to call upon spiritual energy or good luck or trying to turn the tide of what was going on in the day, whether it was bad weather or wherever it may be, he would recite this Tenchi Jin, Tenchi Jin, Tenchi Jin, Tenchi Jin, Tenchi Jin. And you'd hear him while he's walking around, and he'd be doing things with his fingers, certain mantras, whilst he did this. He called it ghost busting. One of his jobs within Chinatown was to actually go around failing restaurants or failing businesses and purifying the air, purifying the area. He called it ghost busting. So he'd try and change their fortune. And this was something that he 100% believed in. Whether you do or not is by and by. He did. And it was part of his art and it was part of what he did. A lot of this area bled into your classical martial arts, whether we're talking karate, whether we're talking especially kung fu. A lot of these more esoteric elements can be found within your kata, can be found within the energetic exercises of your system, can be found within the folklore, can be found within the history, within the naming of the kata, within the directional patterns of the kata. It was said to me, when you do a kata, you're actually drawing a geometrical configuration upon the floor. You're drawing a talisman on the floor in order to purify the area in which you train. This was something that was also replicated to me by Hokama Sensei. As a matter of fact, so these calligraphies come from Hokama Sensei, the one either side. And then an idea I took from him was actually on the ceiling in his office. He had these things painted up and just drawn on the ceiling on the cardinal points of east, west, north, south, along with the spiritual guardian of that particular direction. When you go through your kata, you have, whether it's Shisojin or Four Gates, whether it's Supalempe or Pecherin, where we're talking about now 8 gates. There are supposedly, within this mysticism, these protective deities that guard each direction. And in doing your kata, sometimes when we see techniques replicated 4 times in 4 directions, you're actually performing a mudra, performing a ritual towards each gate in order to be allowed permission to proceed through that gate. And kata is, in effect, almost like this ritual dance in order to unify the person with the great universal. Again, it's a rabbit hole I went down quite deep, and I've come away from a lot over, I'd say, probably the past 3-4 years. But for a time, it opened a lot of interesting avenues of research for me, especially into the history of the art and to why we do things. And it was something, did it enhance my art? Perhaps. Did it enhance my appreciation of kata? I'd say definitely, because it moved me away from application only and showed me that it was perhaps part of a greater whole, and that sometimes if things don't make sense, it's kind of okay. It doesn't all have to be about fighting. Some things are just there just because it was considered good luck, or it might sound like a bit like a cop-out. I appreciate that. But certain elements within your kata, where it's the kurunfa, where you're coming down, as I've said before, contain qigong elements, contain things that I was shown explicitly as energetic practices as opposed to application principles. So you have within your system all this other stuff going on, almost like behind the scenes. So you have the surface and you have what goes on behind it, or what runs underneath the deep water, underlying the whole art. So when you look back into the history of the art, whether we go back, controversial figure Daruma, but certainly when you go back towards the times of Miyagi Chojun Sensei, Kanryo Higono Sensei, these are all elements that were so enriched and so entwined within their understanding of culture and their understanding of society, that it was part of the art. Not intentional, not put there for whatever reason, it was just part of that time. And sometimes in order to understand what we've been presented with, you have to go back a few steps and look at what they believed in that time in order to understand where we're at the present. Anyway, just some food for thought. Just, I got in here and I got thinking a little bit about the past and certain things in here while I was looking around. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that.